The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
What is up? Episode 129. Yep, episode 129. Last week, I kept referring to episode 128 as 228. That's what happens when you get old. But all joking aside, this is episode 129, and it will be different than your typical Sports Card Nation episode. We are sans guests this week, and not because we don't have a guest. I do have an interview in the can with DJ Ski that will appear next Friday. But I just returned from Dallas and attending the Dallas Card Show, and amongst other things, other events I attended there. Was a great trip, a little bit tired, but back safely, and had a great time. And so I wanted to take this episode kind of to review the trip and the card show, which, is making a lot of buzz about it, as each one that Cal puts on. It's sort of become the de facto national. And so this episode is going to just kind of go through the 3 days I were there, and then also sort of my take on what happened on the show floor, from someone like myself, if I may be so bold, who sets up at shows as a dealer and also buys cards as a consumer. I kind of, walked the floor all day, really, Saturday, other than at nighttime. We had an event all day Saturday after, Hobby Hotline live in the morning. I was just walking the floor. Bought a few things, not a ton, not as much as I planned on, quite frankly, and just observed, goings on and that sort of thing. And so, definitely a fun trip. I want to start off in the intro here by thanking Texas Card Dude, Brad Bethune, and his wife Kim, his lovely wife Kim, who let me stay in their guest room in their house, and really made the trip possible. And, Brad obviously knows the area, and he drove and took time basically to kind of be my host for the weekend, and very appreciative of what him and Kim allowed me to do. So I think we'll start off with the thank yous there. So we're going to go through kind of the 3 days. It'll probably be a shorter episode than our interview guest shows typically are, as I cover stuff fairly in decent order. And again, next week, remember, DJ Ski will be our distinguished guest. With that being said, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back from the break, we will have the new release schedule for this week.
Tired of going to the retail store just to find empty shelves? The solution is Hotbox Cards. They offer a monthly subscription service at a great price level. Each box contains 3 sealed packs, 3 relic or autographed cards, and 50 cards featuring stars, rookies inserts, and parallels. 1 in 5 boxes have an envelope with a surprise card. They will honor expired redemptions with a comparable item. Check them out at www.hotboxcards.net.
June is Throwback Month at Hotbox, and use the code SCNation, all in caps. That's SCNATION, all in caps, for an extra 4th hit. Time for this week's
incoming
product releases. All right, if you're listening to us on show release date, May 28th, we have a few items that are dropping today. 2021 Panini Contenders Draft Picks Collegiate Football. 2021 Leaf Metal Football, Hobby and Jumbo. On June 2nd, 2021 Topps Finest Baseball. Also on June 2nd, 2021 Topps Bundesliga Tier 1 Soccer. On the 4th of June, 2020-21, Panini's Chronicle Soccer. Also on the 4th. This is already dropped, unless they're re-releasing the rest. Sometimes they'll do a double drop, but I've seen it at the Dallas Card Show. The 2021 Wild Card Matte White Football. Unless, maybe I saw the Matte Black Football. This is the Matte White version. I believe that's what it is. And by the way, the black version was really sharp looking. They have thumbograph. It's an actual thumbprint and autograph of these athletes. Kind of really cool. Never seen that done before. Pricey, but also made by the company that did Wild Card in 1991. They've come back 30 years later. Very different from the 1991 version, I must say, though. Also on the 4th, 2021 Pro Set Draft Day Football, 10-card rookie set. And closing out the 4th, 2021 Panini Absolute Baseball. So some products for you to choose from. Have fun.
Pastime Marketplace has a line of graded card cases that are waterproof, airtight, dust-tight, and hardened to protect and organize your valuable collection. Each of our cases come with pre-cut and pre-formed foam, so you don't have to cut and tear the foam when you get your case. The pre-cut foam inserts are sized to hold PSA, Beckett, SGC, and CGS slabs. Store it all safely and securely with a case from Pastime Marketplace. Check them out at www.pastimemarketplace.com.
All right, let's talk about this trip. I've never been to Texas before, so definitely was starting to count down the days, and haven't been to a card show or a sporting event in over a year, almost 2 years since, between time and when the pandemic hit, making that fairly obsolete, at least in the New York area. We still haven't had card shows yet. Sports have restarted here. Count down the days, and really to give you a little bit of the backstory how this trip even came about was when the National was looking very doubtful a month or two ago, and it was, and these Dallas shows were going on. Some of those folks that I know very well in Dallas are like, should come down to the Dallas show, especially if the National doesn't look like it's happening. And, Brad Bethune, Texas Card Dude, said, hey, man, you can, stay here if you do decide to come down. And, thought about it. And, again, the National looked doubtful. And so, decided to do it. Then, I looked at the schedule, saw if the Rangers were going to be in town, and they were on the Friday, and so we got some tickets for the Rangers Astro games. About a few weeks ahead of me coming down. So flight went well. I had a connecting flight I went from Syracuse to New York City, my hometown. Picked up a connecting flight there, and then into Dallas. Now we had 40 minutes between the connecting flights. Little nervous in case the first flight, there were any issues or anything like that. There wasn't. Made it in plenty of time, so that was good. And flew into Dallas. And I tell you, the flight into Dallas, for being about 3 hours, went quick because I was playing Texas Hold'em and blackjack on the video panel on the seat back of the person in front of me. I'd never seen that before. I don't fly a ton. And was playing tournaments and blackjack, and I tell you what, didn't even seem like 3 hours. Matter of fact, I was in mid-tournament when the pilot announced we were approaching descent on Dallas, and it felt very quick flight, and had to leave my tournament actually doing very well and leading it, but not real money, so not a big deal, but little funny story there. So landed in Dallas about 9:30 local time. Brad greatly appreciated it. Picked me up from the airport. I hadn't ate since about 11 o'clock New York time, so it was a good 10, 11, 12 hours. And he asked, "Hey, you ever had Whataburger?" And I haven't, and I know I guess it's a Texas favorite, a landmark kind of burger joint, and stopped there on the way to his house. There's one actually right near his house, and waited about 45 minutes in the fast food line. They were very, very slow, but I was hungry enough we waited. And very good burger, gotta say. Probably worth the wait, but we don't have those here in New York, so now I can say I had Whataburger, and definitely would have it again if the situation arises. And so we got into to his house, and I got my stuff out of my I had one bag, a duffel bag, carry on, and emptied my got my stuff out. I had some stuff for Brad card wise that I gave him, and talked a little bit. Then it was late, and called it a day, and planned for the next day for Friday. And Friday, what the plan was to go to the show early, and then leave from the show, go get some dinner, some Texas barbecue, and to the Ranger game. And so we're going to step aside for a quick break, but when we come back, we'll go on to Friday's escapades.
What doesn't one of one card shop do? From box, case, and personal breaks, there's always fire being pulled. They offer bulk grading subs, and their large store located in Strongsville, Ohio, offers an incredible selection of sports cards, non-sports, and authentic autographed memorabilia. Steve and family will treat you right. Check them out on Instagram at One of One Card Shop, or on the web at oneofonecardshop.com.
All right, welcome back. So on the Friday, woke up fairly early. Brad does a daily video show, daily chat, vlog, if you will. And so we figured it'd be kind of fun. We didn't really advertise that I was... I advertised that I was coming down to Dallas, but I didn't say really where I was staying. I didn't make it too obvious. And so, he said, "Hey, why don't you, while I'm doing my show, kind of you just sneak into the frame, and it'll be kind of a surprise." And so did that. Had some really great interaction with folks watching his live feed, and talked a little bit about current hobbies going on, and was good bantering on that. And then when that wrapped up, we started to get our gear together and head to the show for me for the first time. Brad had been there already on Thursday, and so first thing we did when we got there is went to Uncle Rich Klein's setup. He's got quite a bit of tables, and met Rich, which was cool, and he let me throw a few cards in his showcase. He said I could do that even before I came down, so I threw a few cards. Did sell one. Thank you, Rich, and it was nice, and talked to a lot of the guys, and met a lot of the guys for the first time that I've known even for years. Val Mars from NASCAR Radio, Logan Ward, King NASCAR, Uncle Rich Klein. Drew Herner was there. I already had met Drew in person at the 2019 National, and it was fun. Dr. Beckett was there, but I did not find him. I know Rich Klein said he was kind of asked if I was there yet, and just didn't bump into him at that point. And definitely talked to Rich and Steph and Loeffler and Angela, husband and wife, from about the cards, and chit-chatted with them. He was opening a box of the new Series 2 Upper Deck Hockey. And, great conversations. And, like the show tagline, the hobby is the people. I really obviously believe that to make it a tagline. And so, I hadn't even looked around yet, just kind of taking it all in, talking to all these folks and, kind of seeing what Rich had and seeing if he needed any help with anything and that sort of thing. And then, decided, hey, let's, we talked a little bit about how we were going to do Hobby Hotline Live the following day on Saturday morning and went through some stuff there. And then we kind of split up and just, actually Brad hung out with me and we kind of walked the floor of the show. But we only had a few hours because our plan was to go to the, Texas Live before the Ranger game at Globe Life Park. So we had to leave the show about 3-something Texas time. We were going to meet Eric Norton and his son at the the pavilion there, Texas Live, to go get some barbecue, which we did at Lockhart's. But before we get to that, so me and Brad kind of walked the floor, but I really felt like, we were kind of hurried. So I didn't really sort of lock in or I knew I was kind of excited to see the game, the first sporting event in a long time, the new stadium, which is awesome, by the way. And so I really wasn't in full show mode, so to speak. So we kind of just walked around. I talked to Brad about certain things, and he's being newer to the hobby, but he's learning quick, and so tried to point out some things that may be helpful, and as he goes full time in the hobby, and trying to help him as much as I can. And so did that for a few hours. Then it was time to head to the ballpark in that area to go get some food. Met Eric Norton from Beckett Live Presents at Texas Live, and we ate some Lockhart's. I had Texas brisket and some mac and cheese, and they give you, this is the New Yorker in me came out. They give you, with your half pound of brisket, they give you 4 slices of bread, and I made 2 sandwiches, putting the brisket on there, putting the sauce on top of the brisket, in between, the 2 slices of bread, made 2 sandwiches. And Eric looked at me a little funny, like, what are you doing? I'm like, I made 2 sandwiches. He's like, I think the bread's for dipping, buddy. But I said, well, New York style, I made a sandwich out of it. So kind of a funny moment there, but 2 thumbs up on the food. Definitely excellent, and as advertised, had jalapeno mac and cheese, and that was very good as well. And so had to get ready to head into the game. We had seats on the first base side. We it was quite a bit of people there, but there were empty pockets, and we actually moved around to different seats to get different views. And it was funny hearing everyone boo Jose Altuve mercilessly, and kind of a funny moment. Carlos Correa, who didn't start the game, but then came in, and we walked around the stadium too to get the ambiance and see from different angles. And it's $1.2 billion the stadium cost. And it's funny when you look at it from the outside. It really, it's cool looking, don't get me wrong, but they call it the barn, and from the outside it just looks like a real big, giant, modern, sophisticated barn. But really cool with the see-through glass and two-way, and different, no stadium I've ever been to. The newest stadium before this, believe it or not, is Citi Field, which for obvious reasons, I love that stadium as well. And so watched the game, was having fun, and not a real exciting game. It was kind of 4-1 in the 5th or 6th inning. Eric had taken off with his son, got a little bit late, and Brad and I were sort of, kind of tired. Me from jet lag and Brad from, being at the show on Thursday. And, we kind of decided, hey, it's 4-1. Looked like the Rangers were sort of in control, and we left. And the fireworks apparently started after we left. The Astros rallied to tie it in the ninth with 3 runs. It was 4-4. They took a 5-4 lead in the top of the 10th. And then Adalis Garcia hit a 3-run walk-off home run for Texas in the bottom of the 10th. And we missed all the fireworks. But still got to see the stadium and 6 innings of baseball. And definitely was a fun time. Would have been nice to see that, but you don't know that's going to happen. A little edit too, a little note. The following day, Garcia hit 2 more home runs as well. So he's playing very well. 28-year-old from Cuba, played in Japan a year, and the Rangers got him from the Cardinals. And so might be one to keep an eye on. A little bit old, a little bit long in the tooth, to be considered a prospect anymore. But, he's having a good year nonetheless. And so that was sort of, Friday. Made our way back to Brad's house. And, we talked a little bit about what we're going to do tomorrow between Hobby Hotline Live and maybe some strategic stuff as far as the show. For me, and Brad, Saturday was going to be our last day at the show, and we kind of wanted to go over. And we had Hobby Hotline Live in the morning, but for me, I wanted to get that show experience, and I just said, hey, as soon as we wrap up, filming Hobby Hotline Live, I was going to walk all through that show and look at every case in there and see what was going on, the interactions, buy some stuff. I didn't bring any stuff to sell or anything like that. It was just other than the 4 or 5 cards that Rich Klein let me put in his case. I didn't have like a shoebox or some of these card cases that everyone else carries around that sell to the dealers or try to wheel and deal with the dealer. So I was there just with cash, quite frankly, to spend. And I brought some, and obviously you have debit accounts and bank accounts and PayPal. So I had some money I sort of planned on spending. And Saturday, like I said, after Hobby Hotline, I really wanted to pick up some stuff, maybe some PC stuff and maybe some stuff, for the Newman sports card side of the house. And then at Saturday evening, Dr. Beckett invited some of us for the the content creators panel, and it was a great event. I'll talk about that when we get to the Saturday portion of this episode, but definitely check out Dr. Beckett's Sports Card Insights, where you're going to hear some of that audio from that event. And it was a great time, and thank you to Dr. Beckett for putting that on. I won't talk too much about it in this segment because this is for Friday, and I'm doing it kind of in chronological order here, and I kind of wrap up at the end, folks, with sort of my kind of thoughts on the show, where the market is right now, and that sort of overall sort of kind of bring it to a close with some overall thoughts about where the hobby is right now. So we actually stayed up pretty late on Friday, to be honest with you. I met Kim, Brad's wife, for the first time. She stayed up, and we got to chit chat, and the other times she was either sleeping in or was late. I wouldn't be up on either. So, but she kind of stayed up to meet me, and we talked a little bit, about everything going on. And she was a great lady. It was a great conversation, and we stayed up late, me, Brad, and Kim, and then we decided, hey, we better wrap it up. I think it was about 1 a.m. and had to be up in about 6 hours, 5.5, 6 hours. And so, called it a night. And then we got ready, for the next day and Hobby Hotline Live, walking the floor and culminating in the Dr. Beckett's, content creator dinner. And so we'll hear about that after this commercial break.
What doesn't one of one card shop do? From box, case, and personal breaks, there's always fire being pulled. They offer bulk grading subs, and their large store located in Strongsville, Ohio, offers an incredible selection of sports cards, non-sports, and authentic autographed memorabilia. Steve and family will treat you right. Check them out on Instagram at One of One Card Shop or on the web at oneofonecardshop.com.
All right, welcome back. Let's get into the Saturday part of this, trip review, show review, if you will. So, woke up, we each got a coffee at Valero and headed into the show, and had a 8 o'clock, we were supposed to all meet there to get set up for Hobby Hotline Live, and we all were there and got everything, sort of the table set up, things taped down, what angle, we wanted to have the camera. We kind of thought maybe go with 2. We settled on 1, and so we're all set up, and went live, and we had some great guests. We had a few glitches that I kind of expected that. It's very hard to do. You always forget something. We should have had a headset to hear some callers that did call in. It was hard to hear with the ambient noise, but Ivan Lovegren from Watch the Breaks and Go GTS came on and sat with us pretty much for the bulk of the recording. That was very cool. We interviewed Kyle Robertson, who is the promoter of the show. He was very candid, and that was a great conversation. At one point, we lost feed, had to kind of reconnect, and but those things happen. But even that being said, it went very well. David Lee, contributing writer to Beckett, also jumped in and asked him some stuff about the football market. He's been on Sports Card Nation, as has Ivan, and he's a big football guy, and we kind of talked about the upcoming year and the rookie class and that sort of thing. Jeff Hoffer, the Pack Geek, kind of walked by. We talked to him a little bit across the table. He had his son Fox, a cute young man, and we kind of shouted out to him. And then the battery on Drew's laptop started to wind down. We weren't, I guess, allowed to plug in. We were planning to go a little bit longer. We actually went fairly long, and other than a few glitches, man, it was great banter. Having Logan Ward on the panel as well. You're going to see more of him, and Val is already a part of the show, and it's great to get different perspectives and different parts of the country involved with Hobby Hotline. So even with those glitches, I thought it was, it went fairly well for all things considered, and to have all of us really in the same location at the same time, I mean, that was pretty special, and something we'll look back on. First time we really did that in that fashion. Having Ivan, David Lee, and Jeff and Kyle Robertson all be part of that was very cool. And I haven't watched it yet myself. I was obviously in it, but gave away a Chris Chelio signed jersey, and it was a good time. Again, a couple glitches, but to be expected. And overall, I'd say the experience doing that was a positive one, and it gives us sort of a baseline if we were to do it again, whether that be at the National or at another location. We learned some things what not to do next time, and that occurs in everything in life sometimes. And so overall, I'll give it a thumbs up, and definitely fun. Had a blast doing that. So soon as that was over, we kind of wrapped up, tore down, untaped things, I made a beeline for the show. Not really getting to do that Friday. I wanted to, walk the floor, buy some stuff, see sort of what the vibe was in the room. And so what I tend to do, I know some people will argue against it, what I tend to do was before I even purchase anything, unless it's sort of a no-brainer, great price type of deal, I like to look at every table, do one quick, run through, and then kind of remember certain things that I'm interested in, and then kind of do a second one where some of those things I'm interested in, maybe purchase them. And so the first run through, and whenever I do that, I always usually buy some things, even on the first run through, the price is just right, and there's no reason not to buy it right then and there. And I didn't do that this time, and so I did see some items, and I just said, well, let me check. You do price price checks. Hey, he's got it marked for this, and let's see what else people have that same item for. Maybe I can get it and save a few bucks, right? Every few bucks matter. I'm not cheap. I would say I'm frugal, and money saved is money earned. I really do believe that. And so didn't buy really anything. It's kind of odd for me as someone who does buy quite a bit of stuff. At the first run through, didn't. Ran into Ken Kinsley, who I've known for a few years, but had never met him in person, and got to talk to him. He had some Dale Earnhardt. I don't think he minds me telling this story. He had some Dale Earnhardt, hand-signed cards, and was going to get JSA to authenticate it. And I'm like, Val and Logan are here. Why don't you, before you do that, that's cool, but have them look at it. They know that stuff. Have them look at it, and if they see one that to them is obvious that it's not genuine, then they know, then you'll save $30. And he said, yeah, great idea. So we met up with them, talked about as much racing as I've talked ever, and I enjoyed it. I learned some things, and I'm going to have Val Mars on this show, and definitely get his perspective on racing. While I may not do a lot of it, I do. It's part of the hobby, and I do have some racing now, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. And so, Ken they gave it 4 thumbs up on the 3 cards, and they all were authenticated. So, congrats to Ken. So then, I walked the floor. Saturday was sort of my day to myself after Hobby Hotline. I was just, walking the floor, looking at cases, looking at the products and the interactions. And, one thing I was really surprised at was, I felt like I was on the set of the Kardashians, to be honest with you. And film crews and selfie sticks and tripods. And, I get it. We're in, it's 2021. We're in, heavy content creation. Listen, I'm part of that, so I don't want to be hypocritical here. And I get it, but man, it seemed a little bit sort of over the top to me. Every lane, every row you went down, there was sort of a film crew. I almost felt like I was on the film set, and I almost felt like I walked into a film set as not an extra, and so. I get it. I do get it, but it's different. You got to remember how old I am. I'm the old man on the porch here at 48, and so I understand this goes on. That wasn't the first time I've seen anything like that, but it really was the most I've seen. I don't even, the last National 2019, there was filming going on like that, but it didn't seem to that level. Maybe because it was a bigger show and more spread out, possibly, but just seem every corner you turn, I probably, like everyone else, if you watch all these Dallas Card Show videos, you're going to appear on one of them if you were there, just because there's so much being filmed. And so, I if they enjoy, I get it. It seems a little bit over the top, but to each their own. And some of these folks doing this stuff do a great job. I don't want to take nothing away. And if you've heard me talk about content creation, the people doing it, everybody, whether you like the show or you don't like the show, it's a lot of work, and kudos for people who are doing that work and putting that work in. So I don't want to take nothing away from the work that goes into these shows, whether it be a YouTube or an audio podcast like I do. Doesn't matter. There's a lot of work, and hats off to all involved. And so, walked the floor, like I said, first go through, didn't buy anything, and then, decided to do my second go through. The first go through probably took a couple hours, and then I knew the second go through would probably take the same amount of time, if not more, because I was going to stop and try to start buying some things. So on the second go through, a couple items that I had pinpointed in my mind that I was going to be interested in purchasing. When I got to those areas, those cards, those items had sold, and that's the risk you take when you don't buy something at first sight. And that's on me. No one's to blame. If you want something bad enough, you got to pull the trigger. And so I missed out on a couple items. Now, I will tell you, I did go on eBay after I came back here and got them. And one item I got for the same price I saw at the show, and the other one actually less. And so I'll say what those are. They're not crazy big money items, but they were just items. They're actually going to be two PC items. They're going to be two items that I will not be listing for sale. They're going to just stay in my collection. Again, truthfully, about $150 total for the two. And so I don't want to give them away on the show because I'm going to post on my social media when they come. Again, don't get excited. It's not like a Chrome LeBron or a Michael Jordan auto, which I actually looked at a Michael Jordan auto that I thought was very reasonably priced, and really thought about it. It was a Jackie Robinson auto cut, off the index card that really wound up selling, because when I came back, it wasn't there. So I'm assuming it sold, and really had my gears turning. And someday I'm gonna get one of those, but wasn't going to be apparently on this show. And so bought some stuff, bought some vintage cards, nothing major, just sort of pockets, a couple vintage cards, a couple Hall of Fame autos. One table was starting to put the buy one get one sort of 50% off for all. I think it was all autos, half off, price marked. And so I got a Paul Molitor, like flawless to 20 auto, very cheap. Paul Molitor, Hall of Famer, and the price was definitely right. A Ralph Kiner auto as well, same table, kind of blowing them out a little bit. They're definitely were sort of almost no-brainers for me to pick up a couple, certified autos. These are out-of-pack autos of two Hall of Famers for a great price. Grabbed those. There was a Ben Roethlisberger rookie, priced very well, that I picked up as he enters probably the final season of his career, and I hope so, as a Steeler fan. And so picked up little things, nothing of major variety, and walked, kind of did my second tour, and really, when I looked and looked in my wallet and to the cash I brought, and was surprised that I didn't really spend what I anticipated. And something I've always said, don't spend just to spend. And I'll kind of wrap up my observation of the show, but things were priced, I thought, sort of high. I think that's the risk you take when you attend these big shows is that, stuff's not going to be priced, steals. I think Sunday is the day for that. I know when I do shows, if I'm not having maybe a stellar show, I kind of use Sunday to, do some sales and, half price or anything in this box, 50% off, just to sort of kind of maybe one last push to see what, we can bring in. And so, I had to leave Sunday afternoon about 2:00. So I didn't, I didn't run into what I would perceive a lot of those kind of blowout deals. And so I didn't buy as much as I anticipated. And then we went to the, content creation hobby panel put on by Dr. Beckett, a great event. I was honored and privileged to be one of those invited, and had Chick-fil-A brought in, and wine, beer, soda, water. Very well done, very organized. I think there was something like 20 of us in the room, and always a concern with a crowd that big, that people are going to talk over each other, or try to sort of hog the limelight. None of that occurred. There were some big personalities in the room, probably myself included, that like to talk. Again, I'll include myself in there, but no issues as far as that concerned. I'm not going to go into the details. That is really property of Dr. Beckett, and he's going to release some of that audio on his show. Maybe he has already by the time you hear this. So I don't want to steal any of that thunder, but some great topics, some great banter. Was happy to be part of the process. Brody the Kid was supposed to attend. He took ill, but we did FaceTime with him as we got underway, and I thought that was a great moment. And I know it made Brody's day, and I was glad that happened. So I'll leave it at that. I'll just say, that thing started, I believe, at 7 o'clock. Was supposed to go to 7 to 9. And by the time, when it was done, you wrap up. And it was almost like a debate, even though there was no major debates, not on that sort of level with angst or anything to that level. Afterwards, you kind of shake everybody's hand, exchange pleasantries, talk, and some, in many cases, while I've seen almost all of these folks, this might be the first time meeting most of them. And so you do some handshakes and talk about the hobby and even some more banter, maybe some of the things that were said during the actual event. And so got out of there probably about 10:15 and headed left with Brad and called it a day. And so that was Saturday. Great day. Super tired by the end of it, though. And my feet were hurting. Even with Air Maxes on, my feet were two hurting puppies, and so I was looking forward to getting my sneakers off and getting some rest, knowing Sunday would be my final day, and having 3 or 4 hours worth of flight time to get home and be back in Syracuse here about 9:30 p.m. local time. And so got to bed, and then we'll get into Sunday and the final here after this commercial break.
Iron Sports Cards is your #1 source for all your PSA and other grading submissions. Their elite status improves turnaround times. Heck, they even provide the card savers. Their chat rooms provide updates on all your submissions. They also offer wax options and single cards to cover all the bases. Check them out on Facebook at Iron Sports Cards Group or on the web at ironsportscards.com, or even give them a call at 1-877-IRON-PSA. Rob's got you covered.
All right, we're back, and before we get into sort of how Sunday sort of wrapped up, I wanted to also say about Saturday and walking that floor and really being a heavy, looking to buy stuff type of day. I want to, a few people, probably 3-4 people who recognized me from doing the show came up to me and, gave me some, were very complimentary and flattering. I had a bunch of promotional items, stickers, different versions of stickers, business cards, and gave those out. Also left some on Uncle Rich's table for anyone to take, any that wanted that sort of stuff. And but the folks that came up to me and recognized me, it always, no matter how many times it happens, and it's always nice, to be recognized, not for being a celebrity, which, by the way, I'm not a celebrity. A celebrity gets recognized when they go to the grocery store. I go to my grocery store and no one says, "Hey, are you, John from blah, blah, blah," right? That doesn't happen. So maybe at a hobby event like a show, that's a different scenario. And happened 3-4 times, and people were very nice and complimentary, and I appreciate that. It's nice to, what I was going to say was, it's nice to be recognized for what you do. Not you, but for what you do. And again, gave out some promotional items to those folks when they came up to me like that, and made time to stop and talk to them, and it was great. Really, that kind of stuff always makes you feel good and makes your day. So kudos to those folks. If you're listening, and like you said, you listen to the show, thank you for doing that. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate it. So getting into Sunday, got up early, grabbed a coffee, and my flight was at 2:40 Dallas time to head back to New York. It was again another connecting flight, so I was going to flight was going to go to Chicago, hop on another plane at Chicago, and head home to Syracuse. This time the layover was about an hour and a half between flights, so I had some time to kill. And I honestly, getting ahead of myself, sitting there in the gate for an hour and a half. I didn't really sleep, but I sat down and closed my eyes. I can tell you, Sunday I was feeling exhausted. We woke up, and the plan was to baseball card collector Michael Monyihan, a great guy, great YouTube show, great podcast, The Golden Age of Vintage. Definitely listen to it. Mike is really one of the most knowledgeable when it comes to vintage cards and even autographs. And his YouTube, he showed off his collection. Him and his father built what looks like a oversized library card catalog, but there's no boring library cards in this thing. There's some serious graded Hall of Fame cards, and seen it via video. And when he heard I was coming to Dallas, he said, "Hey, if you got time, you have an invite to come by my house if you want." And I was staying with Brad, so I'm like, "Can Brad come too?" He's like, "Sure, no problem." And I said, if anything, it's going to probably have to be Sunday, just with all the itinerary and schedule. And so that's what it was. But I would tell you, he's about an hour and 10 minutes away from where Brad lives, and had a coffee. I even drank a coffee and a Monster, double dose of caffeine. But I was really, really tired, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I felt bad, but I crashed, in Brad's car during this hour and 10 trip, and fell asleep. One quick stop we made, though, real quick story. Really, one of my highlights of this trip, and sort of impromptu, is we stopped at the University of North Texas. May not mean much to you. It's actually Brad's alma mater. I didn't even know that until we did it. But the reason we stopped there, if you know me at all, Mean Joe Green's my guy. I'm a huge Steeler fan. Mean Joe Green right there with Jackie Robinson, probably 1 and 2 as far as my favorite all-time people and athletes. And Joe Green, that's his alma mater in college. And I knew there was a statue, and they did tear down the old stadium that he made a name for himself in, but the statue's at the in front of the new stadium. We had to, try a different couple ways to get in there, but we did, and I got to take some photos of the statue, and Brad took one of me, with the statue. It's very big, probably about 12 feet tall, and didn't really think about it. Just kind of happened when I didn't realize how close the University of North Texas actually was, and so got to do that on the way to Mike's house, Mike Monyihan's, and that kind of woke me up a little bit. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, got back in the car, and that adrenaline, I crashed again after the adrenaline high, and again fell asleep. And the next thing I know, Brad was waking me up. Hey man, we're here at Mike's house, and so kind of logy, but whenever someone like Mike invites you to see his awesome collection, you're not going to say no. I apologize to him for being sort of a little tired and dragging, and welcomed him into his home and into his card room. And I can just tell you, just amazing collection of graded Hall of Famers and autos and the stuff on the walls. He's got a closet with every top set from the first one to the current one, and he's a man. When he has a plan, he accomplishes it. Some he accomplishes sooner than others, but when he's on a mission, he's dedicated. And really talking to him and seeing that stuff is really kind of, I was already kind of leaning sort of a certain way, but in talking to him and seeing his collection, really swayed me to, I'm not going to get all the same stuff he has. It's just an immense, crazy collection. I'll just leave it at that. Think of all the key rookie cards, from the 40s on up, and in graded form, and pretty much has the majority of them. And I'm not going to ever catch up to that, but it's really having me, I was leaning a certain way, and after talking to him and seeing that, I'm leaning even more so that way. I'll kind of talk about that in my wrap-up segment here at the end. And just was very, very gracious of Mike to open up, and people have that kind of stuff, and I wouldn't blame them. I'm being honest. I'd be leery to just invite people, even though he may know me and I'm not going to do anything. It's still, that's I don't know if I'd like to think I'd be so gracious, but a lot of other people may not be, and yet he was. And shout out to Mike and thank you. And man, I took some pictures, posted it on social media this week, and awesome gentleman, and glad I've gotten to know him a little bit. He's been on the show. We'll have him on again, just the same. And they get to see that stuff up close and personal. And then I was sharing towards the end, when we were getting ready to go, I told him, I lived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for a couple years, and Fort Lauderdale was a home for the Yankees spring training, but I wasn't a Yankee fan. I did go to some spring training games, full disclosure, but my grandfather would take me instead to the Texas Ranger games at Pompano Beach, which was a little north of Fort Lauderdale, not too far out of the way. And so I'd rather go to the Rangers Grapefruit League games, and became a huge Buddy Bell fan and even collector at that time. And I kind of mentioned that to Mike, and obviously being a Ranger fan, he knew all those names I mentioned, including Buddy Bell's. And he goes, "Hang on, I got something for you." I had no idea where this was going, and he pulled out of this closet. It's hard to describe, a 3D raised wood plaque of Buddy Bell's Topps rookie card as a member of the Indians. Doesn't matter, and it was hand signed by Buddy Bell, and he said, "Here, this is for you." I'm like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "I can't. What do I owe you?" And he goes, "No, nothing. Take it. You like Buddy Bell as much as I like him. You probably like him maybe a little bit more. So, gave that to me completely unexpected, unannounced, and really, again, epitomizes what kind of individual Mike is, which is an absolutely first-class gentleman. And again, I shout out to Mike for allowing me and Brad to stop by, see all that stuff. And that Buddy Bell was just like the cherry on top of an ice cream. And very appreciative. And, check if you haven't yet. I don't know why, but check out his YouTube channel, Baseball Card Collector, and his Golden Age of Vintage podcast. And, I try to catch as many as I can, but kind of where I'm leaning here, I'm going to be listening to. Probably it's going to be appointment every week type of listening for me, and it should be for you as well. And so again, kind of a great way to end the Dallas trip with that. Got dropped off at the airport, said my goodbyes to Brad. Very, thanked him. Very appreciative. Without him opening his home, probably would have never happened. And great, 3.5 day trip. As tired as I was, just thought about all the memories that you make in this hobby. This was a trip full of them, and will be hard to top it, anytime, honestly, soon. And, got in the airport. That was pretty seamless. Got on the plane and headed back home. And so a great time for me. The hobby is the people. I think this trip really, really illustrated that it's not just 5 words of a tagline. It's real. I had to count there, make sure it was 5 words. It's real, and when I came up with that, it was how I was feeling. Granted, we're in the hobby because of cards, and the cards are really the focus and center point. I get it. But it's all of us that are in the hobby together, that community, that make it what it is. And this Dallas trip, from start to finish, really epitomized that for me. And even more so than I already figured. It just even strengthened that even more. So it was a great trip. I'm going to take another quick break. And then at the end here, I'm going to give sort of my wrap it up, give my thoughts of kind of where the market is. I kind of hinted and teased at a direction sort of where I'm kind of pivoting to as well.
The Sports Card Shop at MoCo is your small-town local shop with a global reach. Conveniently located in New Buffalo, Michigan. We're an easy drive for most residents in Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. Come see us every Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5 and Sundays from 12 to 5. Want to shop from the comfort of your home? Give us a call at 269-469-0140 or visit our website at thesportscardshop@moco.com or our Facebook page. Major credit cards and PayPal accepted, and we ship anywhere in the world. We're an authorized dealer for both Panini and Topps, with new sealed wax from both arriving weekly. And yes, we have PSA and SGC graded cards and over 250,000 singles in stock. Be sure to follow us and turn on notifications for posts to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on new arrivals. The Gocher family has been serving this community for over a decade, so stop by or visit us at thesportscardshop@moco.com.
All right, we're back, and this really went a little bit longer. I apologize for that, but I definitely didn't want to leave anybody out or certain details out, so went a little longer than anticipated. I'll try to keep this portion here, the closing, a little briefer than I initially had planned. So, some observations from the floor of the show. Obviously, I talked about just content creation all over the places, video cameras, tripods, all over the place. That I don't really need to say any more about that. It is what it is. This is where we're at in 2021 and beyond. And we do video diary, right? A lot of us every day, right? Whether it be still photos or some people video, and it's just really, it comes with the territory. So I'll leave that at that, and just some observations. And most of these are going to come from Saturday, including late Saturday, as the show wound down for that day. I thought the prices were, they weren't there for super deals. I think, obviously you go to any show. This isn't exclusive to Dallas. Phones are out all over the place, checking comps. Both sides of the table. And when I do shows, we haven't done them here in a while here in New York, I'm a price my cards guy. So I price my stuff the week leading up to the show, and it's just easier for me. I'm a guy, when I go around as a consumer at a show, I don't like to ask, when people have unpriced stuff, I don't like to ask, hey, how much is that? How much is this? I like to kind of see the price and go from there. I don't want to paint with a broad brush. Generally, if somebody has nothing that's priced, it can sometimes indicate you're on the higher scale things. Again, everybody's different. Every showcase, every dealer is different. But that's generally what I've observed. And so I not that I'm shy, but I just don't like to always ask what a card is. I rather, a starting point sort of be them pricing it as I do. I'm a little biased there because of how I do things. So I generally didn't do a lot of bantering at those type of tables, but there was a ton. We'll just call them the younger set with the plastic card cases. Some had backpack card cases, and I heard a lot of, hey, are you buying? Are you interested in buying, trading? Both. I'm interested in this, and I know from firsthand experience, if you're having a good show, you usually say, yeah, what do you got? Let me see, right? And I didn't hear a lot of that. I heard, not at this time. I've heard a few dealers actually, kudos to them for being sort of transparent, say, hey, it's not been a good show for me. So right now I'm just looking to sell. I thought that was very honest and upfront, and so listen. Lots of transactions went down. I'm not trying to say that's not the case. This hobby is super strong, but seemed to be sort of lukewarm as far as dealers looking at cards offered to them. And we're seeing, I'm going to say where we're at right now. Whether you agree with it, it's my opinion, right? We're in a market correction. Where it's not the start, we're in it. And we're seeing a lot of stuff come back down to probably prices they should have been. And so I wonder, and again, this is just speculation, if, as a dealer, you kind of sense things. You get sort of the vibe. And I wonder if they, some of the dealers here were just trying to one last hurrah of high prices. And again, I wasn't there Sunday. If you went Sunday and you want to, let me know if this is the case. I have a feeling maybe Sunday was more of a blowout day. Let me recoup one last day of sales before I close up shop. That's what I figured would happen on Sunday. It's typically what happens on shows that are 3 or 4 days, where Sunday's the last one. So you try to make all those last minute sales before you pack up and head to your respective home area if you're not local. And so again, I wasn't there Sunday. At the tail end of Saturday, I did see some of those handwritten signs, 50% off, buy one, take one of the same value for free type signs. Not a lot. Matter of fact, some of the cards I bought were from a deal like that, 50% off any certified autos, and I bought some of those. And so I think, if you ask the overall vibe of the show, when I do a show, it's either very good or it's probably 3 tiers, right? Very good, okay, and bad. And so I think if I was to, I don't want to, again, speak for all dealers, but if I think you took a poll from all the dealers, I think the show was okay. I don't want to say it was bad. There was a lot of people there. There was things being sold. Like I said, even cards I wanted, I came back for, they were gone. So plenty of money was exchanging hands. But I heard, again, a lot of dealers kind of saying no to the buying, not even looking. A lot of times, true confession here as a dealer myself, sometimes I'm doing, maybe it's an okay show, but not great for me, let's say. And, someone will come up, hey, you buying? I always tend to look. And, I heard a lot of no, not at this time, not, can't buy. Like I said, I heard one dealer come right out and say, show's not been very good for me, so I can't right now. And so I heard a lot of those type of answers. And, I heard a lot of asking. So it wasn't just a small sample size. And I heard a lot of no, not at the moment. And that just tells me, there's not a lot of transactions. People are trying to still maybe transacting on a level that it isn't at anymore. And sometimes it's a reality. As a dealer, I've been there. It's a reality you don't want to face. I was getting, $80 for this Jordan SP 91 upper deck. I don't want to take $30-$40 right now. And maybe that's where it's going to settle in, and that's what you're going to have to. Otherwise, you're going to keep the card, And so I think we're, like I said, we're definitely in a market correction. And don't take that the wrong way. That's not a crash. I think it's still good. It was a great buying opportunity on certain stuff. And so going, kind of hinted and teased that a direction I'm going to go in. I'm really, and this happened even before the Dallas show. I don't want to make it like the Dallas show is where I decided to do this, but I'm really, and I've always done vintage and buy vintage. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just getting started in vintage. I'm not. I've done vintage in some capacity for 30-something years. Matter of fact, I got started in what would be considered vintage era cards in a sense, but I'm really, really leaning back there with my purchases. Vintage and auto, certified auto stuff, and that's where I think my focus is going to be. I'll just tell you, in walking that floor, maybe 60-70% of those tables was all the new shiny stuff. And listen, aesthetically, some are really sharp looking cards, but it just seemed like there was a lot of it. And listen, I know things are numbered to 10 and 5 and 1 and 1s, and I get all that, but there's a lot of shiny, and I got to be honest with you, it's sort of that bloom is starting to come a little bit off the rose for me with the newy stuff, right? You can't get wax hardly anymore, and then when you do, you're going to pay an arm and a leg or give up your firstborn son for. And, vintage, for me, maybe because of my age, at 48, there's an allure. There's always been an allure there for me, and maybe the current market trends are really just pushing me more in that direction. I'll blame it on that, if you will. Although I don't blame anything. I think it's healthy to change how you do things sometime. And so that's I bought some vintage there, and I think that's where I'm going to be focused. And going to Mike Monyihan's house, like I said, on Sunday, and seeing his collection and sort of, that was more impressive. And the 2 hours I was at Mike's house, that was more impressive, like card wise, than the probably 6 to 8 hours of eye time I had walking that show floor. And that's me being honest. Like that, you just don't see that kind of stuff all the time. And so I think, again, there's no way I can replicate the collection Mike has. I don't have that wherewithal or income, quite frankly, at this point. But I was really going to be. I've already actually made a list. It's too long to start naming stuff, but of Hall of Fame rookies. That's, some I already have, so they didn't make the list. But I kind of want to take a small slice of what Mike does, and I'm not going to be able to get like a 51 Bowman, Mantle, or Mays. But some of the other guys I think are still great value plays, maybe in lower grades, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start chipping away. Make a list. Rome wasn't built in a day. And, start scouring and hitting the selling platforms, seeing what some of these are going for and getting the best deal, and start kind of crossing things off the list I make. And so I've started to make a list of key Hall of Fame rookie cards in graded form that I want to, at some point, the list is pretty much done, but at some point I want to have every card on that list in graded form, all rookies, Hall of Famers. And so that's probably where my focus is going to be on, at least probably for the rest of this year, going into 2022. And we'll see, you always see where you go and then reassess again. You can always reassess and pivot. And so I think the focus for me the rest of the year is in terms of what I buy. Now, what I sell is I already have in a lot of inventory, a lot of newer stuff too. And so that is what it is. But I think what I'm going to do is sort of convert that income from Newman Sports Card, sort of a 50-50, right, into new stock to resell, and then half that income into some of these cards I already mentioned, Hall of Fame graded rookies, which will be PC holds. And so that's where I'm leaning. That's the plan. Remember, plans don't always work out. Some of the best played lands, I can't even talk, some of the best laid plans don't always work out exactly as you draw them up. And I'm sure there'll be bumps along the way, but that's where I'm sort of turning my focus to. I probably, wish I would have kind of did it earlier, but I think we're seeing some stuff also come down. I think it's going to even affect the vintage end of things as well. So that's sort of my take on where we're at. The hobby's still doing great. The hobby's still very strong. It's just changing. And sometimes change is not always bad. And, as far as reasons why that's occurring, as I've said on the show before, what's happening in real-world economics with gas prices, conflict in many parts of the world. And, again, I don't want to get too political here at the end, but there's things going on that change the climate. Discretionary income might not be what it is before as we come out of this pandemic and restrictions get loosened and stimuluses get stopped. But there's still plenty of ways to enjoy the hobby, and you can pivot and change. And I'm actually doing that myself here with what I'm going to be purchasing compared to what I did before I decided to change. So I'll kind of close with this. Again, I said this already. This trip was wonderful. Was great. I'm missing Dallas a little bit already. I even joked with my wife about, hey, you ever want to live in Dallas, Texas? She said no. So as a married guy, probably not going to happen. But I'm kidding. But one thing this trip for, even though I didn't buy as many cards as I anticipated on the trip itself, this trip definitely fortified what I already knew, and that is the hobby is the people.
That's a wrap on another edition of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Thank you to all the awesome listeners out there. Without you, there is no us. Thank you to all our great guests who drive this show, and also our wonderful sponsors who help us produce the great hobby content every week. Remember, another Hobby Quick Hits episode drops every Monday, and Sports Card Nation returns again next Friday. If you like the shows, we appreciate those positive reviews. Be well, and always remember, the hobby is the people.